Hi there, it's Thom Lofquist here. I am going to give you a point of reference tonight on a little realistic painting technique. Going to actually use paint and brushes. No software, no Photoshop. And it just kind of gives you a point of reference that people really can paint photorealistically with their hand. Hopefully you can hear me when I turn around. I don't have a mic on me, so gonna take about 10 minutes doing this. Hopefully you got time to watch. Just got some palettes already set up for you. This, for those keeping track at home, this is Brilliant Blue. And then I just got some summery colors on this palette. It's going to be a swan on the water. All right, let's zero this thing in here for you real quick. Try and get the right shot. Now you notice too that I did a little stencil of the swan because I'm going to spray the water with an airbrush. So now I've already yacked on for about a minute, and now I got that much less time to paint it. Now that noise in the background is the compressor for my airbrush, so you know that's what it is. Hopefully you can hear me. It just goes off because the airbrush leaks. So that's what the rags are for. No, that's just a wetting medium. Keeps the paint from drying too fast. After all, this is acrylic paint, so it does have a tendency to dry up rather quickly. So now we're going to just take some of this Brilliant Blue and just kind of put it on there with the sky already wet. Now, one thing you'll notice is that on a two-dimensional painting, the illusion of depth is when you take the sky that's closest to you and make the color a bit more intense than the sky that's farthest away, represented by the horizon with the trees. So what I'm going to do is just take handy dandy sock, old sock, and I'm just going to kind of smooth away at the horizon to lighten it up a little bit. And I'll come back with a dry brush here and just kind of clean that out. Now there's a lot of ways to do this. I think we're going to add some clouds as well. But for now, we're just going to kind of leave this rough. Now you notice as well, I like to use my thumb and hand fingers a little bit in the paint. It's actually a heck of a nice tool for that purpose. Now there's going to be a lot of different ways we could get clouds into this. We could add some clouds by literally just taking our rag here and daubing a few, letting the white canvas be the clouds. That's one way to do it. Another way would be to come back and actually, I don't have white on my canvas. Where did you go? We'll just put a little bit of white down there. And another way would be to just take a bit of white, and I don't know how well you can see what I'm doing, and you could just, you know, paint the clouds in. Yet another technique is to take the white, let this all dry out, and then come back and and add some white to it. But anyway, we got to keep moving here because I'm trying to keep this at 10 minutes. I've already used 3 on the clouds. So here I have some modeling paint, or some just paste, I should say, not paint. And that just dries clear. There's some that dry white as well. So what I'm going to do is I got some dark value and then I got some lighter value. And this is just a palette knife. Just something to use as a, you know, kind of like a cake knife, I guess. So at any rate, we're going to just come in here. We're going to make this really heavy so we get some nice brush stroke action in there. So I don't know how well you can see, but now you see I've got a line here. This is where these trees go, and then it's also up here. And I'm just kind of spreading it all the way across. Get those trees going anyway. And as you can see, it's just heavy. I've got a good heavy technique going on here with this. And I'm getting some texture in with the palette knife, also known as an impasto knife. So now let's just kind of bring the next line into this a little bit with this. So we'll just clean that off. We'll get a bit of yellow on there. And again, that's the Airbrush compressor. Like I say, the thing leaks, so we've got lots of air that escapes it, and every time it does, the compressor just starts up again on its own. Get a little bit of white in that as well. Now, I haven't done this before for the camera, so pardon me if it's not too fluent. Anyway, like I say, now we're going to just add a few darker values here. Get some of this brown and darker green. For those keeping score at home, it's actually known as Hooker's green. I don't really know why they named it that. That's a old-time color, though. It dates back quite a ways into the past. A lot of the names of the paints are, you know, quite antiquated. But anyway, let's just keep going here. Get this a little darker in places, and you know, you can see I'm adding darker green and a bit of brown just to get some of the shadows into these trees, because this is going to be late afternoon. Oops, I went too far there. Let's just get that. Put a bit more right back there, and add that. Now, one technique you can try, which is really fascinating. I learned this from my high school painting teacher. His name was Herb Halprin. You see what I'm doing? I'm scraping the heavy paint back to the white canvas, kind of putting another horizon line for the trees. Now, I'm also going to just add some of the trees in here. You see this? You can come back and clean this up a little bit later, but you kind of get the idea that kind of the suggestion of trees. And like I say, we can clean this up a little bit later and just kind of Go through, scrape out a few trees. Probably already spending too much time on the trees here. Take a little bit of that darker color and put it in there. Give it so. Here we go. Yeah, this scrape technique, I don't know what he called it, but he was kind of showing off. I'm not very good at it, but he was terrific artist and painter. So now I'm just gonna bring in some really bright green right along on this like bank here, back here, and we'll just kind of blend it with what we got going on until we go like this. Kind of do a water line as well, where the water meets the edge of the land. Get that cleaned up. Now I'm going to bring in a super bright fluorescent yellow, and I'll just put that directly on there, and because that's where the sun is going to be hitting this bank, and so we want it to be really bright. And like I say, we'll just kind of bring that in there, and then we'll go back to this darker line, kind of where the water meets the land, and we'll put in some suggestions of some reeds, kind of go along with it. I'm going to run that edge up a little farther. Kind of add a few shadows as well. Now we'll do the same. We're gonna a little darker down here because this is the water, and it's a reflection of what's going on up above it, and as a reflection it is going to be considerably darker than the thing it is reflecting. Now here I'm just gonna try and kind of match what I did up above. Doesn't all have to be dark. Get it a little bit lighter in places, greener, and like I say, we'll just bring in a little bit of, make it a little bit darker around that swan's head, so that the swan really pops off the canvas after I'm done airbrushing here. So I'm already way past 10 minutes, sorry. I think it's going to have to take at least 20 to get this done, so let's just keep going. Yeah, just get these lines. Now one little top tip for you, when you're doing water, you want to try to get, you see these lines, you want to try to get them as horizontal as you can. It really helps. Now, let's just come back. Now you see these lines where the trees are? We want to come down and kind of match that. So, you see that? Do that there. Now this one's kind of a little more vertical, and this one's like going this way, so we'll go like that, and maybe like that. Get that up a little farther. Same with this one. And you kind of get the idea anyway. So, so at any rate, let's now just kind of green this up a little bit more here. And okay. Take the airbrush. Start out with that brilliant blue. You might want to even run it into the clouds a little, or into the sky a little bit. Here, I'll go turn the fan on too. You really don't want to do airbrush without a dust mask. We're just kind of coming in here. This is ultramarine blue. Airbrush isn't working too good, but you get the idea anyway. And it just spat a few things there. And then we'll just do our reeds in the foreground here. Get some of this. Oops, that's a little small. And just get a little darker shadow, because you always want to make sure you have a good idea of where your light source is. In this case, the sun is over here and it's shining this way. So I want to put some darker values over here and then some lighter values over here. So let's just take a bit of this yellow and highlight this. Go like that. Normally you'd want that blue to dry before you go here. It only takes a couple minutes because it's acrylic, you know. So anyway, get a bit of white in there too. You get the idea. Do a couple of them. Now, for our last little, let's just add a few highlights up on the top here. Cleaned off. Take some of this yellow and get that into the top of this. Really kind of give it the illusion of sunlight up here. Got some of that black in there too. Gives it a little more highlight. Now, let's just take the swan off. Take my little stencil voila! We're well on our way to a nicely realistic painting without any kind of software. Now, I'll just do one more thing for you here. Where did that brush go? Oh well, I don't know where it went. Using some ultramarine blue. That is really nice, intense blue. We'll just put in the illusion of some ripples in the water from our swan. Use some of the reflection of that swan. Again, you kind of take that shape and just bring it into the water a little bit. And do the Anyway, that's the idea. So hopefully I didn't take up too much of your life. But by the way, this painting is for sale. It's Christmas season, so I'm an artist. Make me an offer. Best offer gets it, and if there's multiple offers, I'll make more. All right. Have a good one.